All right, everyone. Interesting link in the description, archived, of course, talking about how Joe Biden's not in charge. Now, this particular article assumes that Jill Biden is actually the one in charge. So basically, you've got a Woodrow Wilson situation. Of course, he had had a stroke and was basically sequestered in the bedroom for the latter part of his presidency. And it appears as though his wife may have been signing or unsigning documents. The handwriting changed. Now, normally with a stroke, of course, that may happen anyway, but the idea is that she was effectively in charge of that presidency, technically invalidating the latter part of Woodrow Wilson's bills and the things that he signed off on because he wasn't signing them at all. I do not believe that Jill Biden is in charge. I believe that what we've got right now in the United States is effectively an oligarchic system. You have a compilation of corporatists, military brass, and other politicians effectively running the show. Joe clearly isn't running it. I agree with that part. But I don't think that it's Jill Biden. I think, if anything, Jill Biden is a great wife. She stands by her man, literally and figuratively, by the way. She seems to be defending Joe against effectively what is a palace coup. And boy, oh boy, do I expect that she's fucking pissed at what's going on right now. How dare you? Effectively. Quite literally. I don't disagree with her, by the way. I actually have to have sympathy for the Bidens, for once. I mean, I know that Joe Biden is a kitty sniffer, so I don't have any sympathy for him and having dementia. But with regards to Jill, I actually think that she's better than a lot of the other people in political circles in D.C. That's rather sad. Jill Biden, the fake doctor, she's the one that I have to defend. Yeah, that wasn't on my bingo card for this election cycle. So far, it's basically like fold the bingo card up into a paper airplane, fly it through the sky, and it crashes into the ground at this point. Joe Biden's clearly not in charge. That's quite clear. But one thing that is not mentioned here, and which needs to be mentioned, and it needs to be mentioned repeatedly, and Donald Trump should mention this too. What did Kamala Harris know and when did she know it with regards to Joe Biden's obvious incapacity? That's what I want to know. How long did you know that he was fucked up mentally? At what point, in which meeting did he lapse out and say, oh, man, fucking ice cream, and where's Corn Pop? I want to go and bash his head in. He probably has had these moments. You had to have known. You're his second in command. You had to have known. Jill Biden gets a hall pass because she's the first lady. She's not an elected official. Kamala Harris doesn't. She's the vice president of the United States. What did you know? When did you know it? When did you come to the conclusion? And clearly she was in on this palace coup. There's no possibility that she and her cohorts were involved in this. And Jill and a few others tried to circle wagons around the Bidens. You remember, the Clintons originally circled wagons around the Bidens. They were hedging their bets on the Biden administration, saying, look, no palace coup allowed. But then Obama showed up, just like a Sith Lord or something like that. And he's like, you know, you guys are old hat. I'm the king liberal now. I can do whatever the fuck I want. Kamala's going to be running. And then Pelosi and Schumer and others who had backed Biden, they immediately flipped. You'll note it was exactly at the moment that the Obamas weighed in to begin with that everyone flipped. They turned the cannon, so to speak. And Biden found himself completely ally bereft, and then he had to stand down. It was the Obamas in the end that triggered that. It wasn't just the Obamas, but they got the ball rolling, so to speak. It's like when you take a snowball, you're at the top of a hill, and you toss it down. And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Well, Obama's the one that threw the snowball. It's quite clear. They decided that Kamala was going to be their candidate, mainly for pragmatic reasons. I don't think that the Obamas are even really fans of Kamala Harris, by the way. I have a feeling it's more like, hey, we've got to win the election. We got to keep Orange Man out because he'll break the toys. Joe Biden's not in charge of jack shit. I've been saying it for years. Everyone who is sane knew it, by the way, anyway. It's not exactly a difficult prediction. Joe Biden probably can't even choose his own socks. Nor can he probably put his own socks on. Jill has to help him with that, I'm sure. Imagine being around those stinky feet. Yeah. Ugh. Actually, I think I'm going to give myself bulimia. He's not in command of anything. He's effectively retired. Right now, the United States is being led by Kamala Harris, a conglomerate of generals, and a conglomerate of corporatists, including big tech and big banks and things like that. You know, Walmart executives and shit like that. And that's why things are all fucked up right now. This is exactly what we were trying to avoid, actually, back in the revolutionary period. Let me clue you in on a piece of history that might interest you. Have you ever heard of a barber? Well, they cut hair. Yes, but they were also apothecarians. And they were effectively centrally unionized and licensed under the British government. They do bloodletting. You know, you have the blade for a reason. It's not just for trimming your beard. They could do bloodletting. They could dispense pills. All sorts of other things. This is the old world system our founders fought against, actually. Sorry, I can't help myself. I just fucking love V8. I advertise for them for free. Drink more V8. This is not a sponsored slot, by the way. I just fucking love it. The problem is that this kind of oligarchic system in which you've got a conglomerate of people making all the decisions sort of behind closed doors is sort of what we wanted to get away from. That's why we have the office of the presidency. Why do we call him a president instead of king? There's a reason for that. Why do we call it Congress instead of a parliament? There's a reason for that. And unfortunately, we've gotten away from this, and that's why everything is fucked up. Biden's not in charge. Biden, again, he can't even choose what he eats at this point. He's probably going to croak in the next 5 years. That's like, he's going to croak with dementia. They're going to try to hide it, by the way. I feel sorry for him in one aspect and one aspect only. They're basically going to do a late-term Ronald Reagan to him. And he's just going to disappear. And they're going to have him effectively in hospice and not let him talk to anyone. They'll trot him out once in a blue moon, so to speak. And he'll get decreasingly coherent. And Kamala hopefully won't be elected, so he might be doing this while there's a Trump presidency, which would be funny. But, you know, he's not in charge. He's not in charge of anything. That's about all. Peace out.